All right, guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. Today, jumping straight to the point, we're going to be talking about the filters that I'm currently using on the Fujifilm X100VI. I say currently using, but to be honest, there's one filter that really hasn't come off this camera since I bought the filter a couple of years back now. Now, before I jump into this, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who liked, subbed, and commented on the last video, which was about the Fujifilm Recipes app. We'll throw that link up top. I was not expecting to get such a big reaction from that video, but it's definitely kind of lit a fire into my ass to get more video content out. So here we are. All right, jumping straight into this, let's get the kind of elephant in the room out of the way, and that is the filter that's on my camera 24/7. If you own an X100VI, or really any other camera for that matter, you may already be in the know about this filter, and this might be no new information for you whatsoever. However, I think now's a good time to talk about it because, like I said, it's been on my camera for so long. I've been using it for so long. Whatever I have to say about it is coming from someone who's actually been using it every day. Speaking of every day, the filter is called the Shortstache Everyday Filter, and it basically combines a mist filter with a polarizer, which is a pretty great combo because the mist filter gives you like these nice blooming highlights and anything that's popping in the highlight range, as well as adding a subtle softness to the entire image. On top of that, you obviously get the polarizer, which is great for reducing reflections. For me, that's really important living in the Caribbean. I'm often shooting around the ocean, and whenever the ocean's in shot, I like to be able to control the reflections on the water. In general, though, polarizer should be part of your kit, and honestly, there's no reason not to have one on your lens all the time. Now, at this point, I should add that all of the filters I'm talking about today just so happen to be Shortstache filters, but I'm in no way sponsored by Shortstache, nor is this a paid promotion by Shortstache or PolarPro for that matter. It just so happens that I bought this particular filter and loved it so much that I ended up buying a few more, and have liked them equally as much. If you already own an X100VI or something like that, I think filters are a great thing for you to consider buying. That's your arsenal or toolkit that can enhance your camera's capabilities, especially because if you did buy a camera like this, you probably bought it for the form factor. At least I would imagine that definitely had a part to play in it. And filters don't really affect that form factor too much while still adding a whole bunch of creative options to your shooting style. I've had many filters over the years from different brands. I've got a full set of ND and mist filters from PolarPro on my C400 with their matte box, and I've really come to like the overall build quality and look of these filters. In terms of the Shortstache ones in particular, I really love the attention to detail, the green detailing on the rings themselves, the metal construction, just a solid build, really great glass. There's really nothing bad to say about them in my opinion, and they're pretty reasonably priced as far as filters go. I also love that they come in actual hard cases, which is pretty unique. Usually you just get some kind of crappy plastic case that ends up in the bin or getting scratched or cracked along the way. I know most people will end up putting filters in sort of a dedicated filter case, but if you're traveling and only have a filter or two that you want to take, having something like this I think is pretty great. Now, before I get on to the other three filters I want to talk about, I'm going to quickly mention this Mist PL filter, which is just a stronger version of the Everyday filter. The mist effect has been amplified. I think the mist effect on the Everyday filter is like stacked at a quarter, whereas this one I believe is at a half. I haven't actually used this one too much because I've just been so in love with the images I'm getting from the Everyday. I had no reason to really put it on, but I do need to do some trials with this to see what I can get from it. All right, so that brings me on to the last three filters I want to talk about today. Now, I have to say I haven't used these a ton, but I am excited to get out into the field, use them a little more. I do have some specific shots in mind that I want to play around with in getting these, and even use them in video as well as just photography. Now, like I said, all of these filters can be used on any camera and any lens as long as you buy the right filter size. And I just happen to buy these ones specifically for the X100VI, but you could put them on any lens so long as you get the right thread size. So these are the Shortstache Shift Diopter filters. What they allow you to do is to reduce the minimum focal distance from the subject to your lens, right? So it means that you're able to get a lot closer to your subject, essentially kind of turning your lens into a macro lens, although I don't like to think of it that way. And from my understanding of how these filters are designed, that's not really what Shortstache or PolarPro had in mind when they made them. So I decided to buy the filter pack, which comes with all three variants. In it, you get different basically levels or strengths of the diopter effect. So it starts at 2, goes through to 4, and then finishes at the strongest strength of 8. And basically with each stage, you're just increasing or decreasing the focal distance or the minimum focal distance from the lens to the subject. So the effect gets pretty intense depending on which filter you're using. You also are going to see a lot more compression in your image depending on which one you're using. So there's less compression in the 2, there is to the 8. By compression, I just mean how out of focus the background is compared to whatever is in focus or your subject. So I have decided to venture away from the den and head up to the roof of my house because currently mango season here, and I figured there might be an opportunity to test out some of these filters in a actual environment. So I actually have 9 mango trees fully matured in the back of my yard, which is awesome when it's mango season, but the mess is pretty horrific, as you can see. But I'm gonna climb up on the roof and see if we can't get some cool shots with the X100VI using some of the diopter filters as well as the Shortstache Everyday Filter. Sorry, it's my neighbor's dog. It's super bright up here. The roof is white and it's kind of just reflecting into my eyes. Probably should have wore sunglasses, but there's also these little bugs, which I'll show you in a second. If anyone knows what they are, let me know, because they might be ruining my mangoes. The X100VI might be not such a great camera to do this with, purely because it already has such a great minimum focal distance. I'm not sure how much these are actually playing in effect there. Alright, so I took a couple of shots with the Everyday Filter. Just to clarify, this is not the kind of photography that I would usually take. I just wanted to step outside of the office, come up onto the roof and get some shots that weren't inside the studio for a change. I did try and shoot up into the sky a little bit, just to emphasize what the mist filter is doing in terms of how it's reacting to highlights. Also, just to clarify, I'm using a Fujifilm recipe, which is the old postcards recipe, which I got from the Fujifilm app, which you can find if you watch the last video that I did. All right, let's go ahead and throw on the medium-sized diopter filter. I'm not gonna test all of them because I think once you've seen one, you can get an idea of what they all do. But I'm gonna put on I think it's the Shift 4. We're gonna put that on, see if we can't get some cool close-up shots of these bugs. They're pretty creepy, I'm not gonna lie. And sometimes they just take off and fly into your face, so it's not fun. One thing I quickly want to add as well is another great benefit of putting a filter like the Everyday Filter on your lens is that it's a great way to protect the lens itself. The filters are obviously a lot less expensive than the lenses, so it's a good idea to have something on there anyways. And when something works as good as the Everyday Filter, why not put it on there? For me, purchasing accessories for my camera that elevate what the camera can do or add to its functionality is just a really easy purchase to make, especially when the price point of these is relatively cheap considering what other camera parts can cost you. It's just a really great thing to add to your kit and expand the capabilities of your camera. Macro lenses themselves, especially decent ones, can obviously be pretty pricey, so being able to throw this on and pretty much get a close, if not the same effect to a macro lens, definitely makes it a worthwhile purchase in my opinion. I'll drop a link in the comments to where you can purchase all of these filters. I get no kickback from this whatsoever, guys. I'm just posting the link for you to check them out yourselves. All right, guys, that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did find it in any way entertaining or informative, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this in the future. I'm really excited to see this community grow. With that being said, if you're using other filters, ones I haven't mentioned here that you think are a must-have to have in your kit, please drop them in the comments and let us know what you're using. The one reason I didn't include ND filters in my kit here, specifically with the X100VI, is that the camera actually has built-in ND, which is insane for the camera size, but that's why I didn't make it into the cut. Anyways, guys, that is it for me today, and I will see you in the next one.